Engine 1 from Car 1. Car 1's on scene. If you've been command, give me a C.A.N report.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the C.A.N report. Nozzle top, everybody. I have a wonderful guest today, a very good friend. He is a leader in the fire service. He's been doing a lot of great things for all of us. C.A.N. Bentley. He is the founder of Bearers of the Oath. I got him here with us today. I'm happy to talk with him. We even coordinated our hats. We got like almost the same hats going on. So I knew I'd be talking to him, and I had to represent. And so is C.A.N. C.A.N., how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, man, my pleasure, dude. I am so happy to have you on here. I love you, man, and I'm glad to be able to talk with you and for everybody else to know who C.A.N. Bentley is.
Well, I'm nobody from nowhere, really. I know that gets said a lot, but I'm just, man, first of all, I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship that we've developed, and I love you too, brother. I mean that, and I appreciate this opportunity. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. We'll get it going. We're going to jump right into your bio. It's a really long-winded bio, so bear with me, everybody. I'm kidding, because this thing is wicked short. This just shows how humble you really are. Over 20 years of career in volunteer experience, creator and founder of Bearers of the Oath, where the message is simple. We are not out to alienate you, but to help you elevate yourself and the oath you took when you decided to enter into the fire service, and to make sure you are truly upholding the commitment to the citizens who rely on us on their worst day. C.A.N. has a strong faith in God and his family. He's currently working for FCL-X as a sales director. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is his bio. C.A.N.,
Pretty much it.
Anything else, man? Like anything else you want anybody to know as we start diving in, who you are, where you came from?
Man, that's it, really. I mean, for the ones that don't know, and, like I said, I'm nobody from nowhere. I'm just a small town fireman that has been very blessed and fortunate to take and get to do a lot in the fire service. I don't even know. Sometimes, even when looking back, I just kind of go, wow, I got to do that. And I've got to meet some really awesome people, develop some really awesome friendships. And I've, excuse me, and I've tried not to take and ever forget that. So, I'm nothing special. I try to take and surround myself with good people. And, that's pretty much it, man. I've got to enjoy a really good fire service career, ups and downs like everybody. But the downsides of it were, was learning processes. So, and it's got me to where I am today. A lot of those things that I've had to go through today, I wouldn't be here today and be the person I am without having to go through them. So I'm very fortunate for everything that I've gotten to do.
Love it. I love it, brother. And I definitely echo that. I think, you and I have a lot of the same background. I've had a lot of struggles, definitely in the fire service. And you turned that negative into a positive. You used that experience into your voice, and to make others better, and to understand that we need to be better with each other and treat each other with respect and love. And that's, I think, why I immediately took to you, is that you had these negative experiences in your lifetime, and it was tough. It was a struggle, and as you expressed openly of these struggles that you've had, and where you came from, and instead of letting it beat you down, you've used that experience to make you a better person and to make others better. And it shows in everything you do. Your humility, you're being humble, and we talk about being humble. We talk about being having humility. A lot of people like to say it, like, I'm so humble, I'm very humble, but it doesn't come out of your mouth. Like we tell you you're humble because we see it in you, and your attitude and everything you do. You're just here for everybody, and you don't ask for anything in return. And I love that about you. Your message is strong and clear.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I don't know. I don't even know. A lot of times is, people tend to want to take and gravitate towards, people's past and the negativity. And I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with that, because there's two things that's come from that is, look, man, I had a very, the fire service has been very good to me. the fire service it was not at fault for anything that I went through. It was
Mm-hmm.
decisions that I made and people that I was involved with. But you know, I learned one thing about myself, and people say humble is, you know, but what I learned is resiliency. And, you know, and there was a time that I just didn't know that I wanted to continue doing that and being a part of that. And as, you know, there was a time I sat around and felt sorry for myself. But it didn't last long. You know, I was, you've been just as fortunate as I had to meet some of the guys that I surround myself with daily.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wouldn't have been for them, not only being friends and family and brothers, but they're mentors, right? The key thing is about everybody you see that I encapsulate myself with is I wanted to be just like them. There was something about each and every one of them that I wanted to be just like. And so, and, you know, ups and downs, you got to have people like that around that won't let you take and won't let you sit on your sorrows. And I had people that came to me and that were true friends and family, and you know, said, "Hey, man, this isn't going to work. You can't do this." And but what I learned is I learned more about resiliency, and that didn't just come from being able and being strong to get up and do it again. It was because you know, I think it's pretty clear that I'm very faithful in my relationship with God, and I wasn't at one time for a very, very long time, and that was the people that were in my life. What's crazy is so many people that I'm involved with, they've encountered some of the same similar instances, right? And so, you know, and it's crazy what happens. It's a group of people that gravitate to like-minded people, right? And it's not because of training companies, and it's not because of how good we are at teaching, you know, tactics in the fire service. It's because of the personalities that you surround yourself with. But if and they were a big part of me rebounding and taking and overcoming things. But the main reason that I'm here today and recovered from all of it is because of God. He saved me. He saved me from myself. He saved me from destroying my family. And you know, and I'm forever grateful for that. So,
what was that moment, Shane? Like, I mean, I'm not going to try to put you on the spot of like what exactly transpired and all these things that happened in your life, because, you know, that's pretty private for you and whoever else you need for anybody else to hear it. But what was the moment that God opened up to you? What was the, I can't do this anymore, I need help, and that being came into your life?
Thanksgiving 2022. I sat outside early one morning, getting ready to cook for my family, and I was in a pretty bad place, and a lot of people didn't know it. My wife did, right? That's the next to God. That's the most fortunate person I am to have in my life, because when things were bad, she was always there. And a lot of the things, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of the things that I encountered and the decisions that I made were, she told me what I was doing, and I wouldn't listen. I was too egotistical, and humble is not a word that was included in it then. I was too egotistical to realize what I was doing. And I was making a lot of bad decisions. It was fueled by alcohol and prescription drugs. And I'm not ashamed to say that now, because what's helped me get through it is being able to talk to others about it. That's helped me heal. And it also has helped me have conversations with others to try to help them. So I just got to a point to where everything come to just what most people say, a crashing halt. And I just sat, you know, I sat out there on the stoop of my garage one day, and I just sat there and I told God, I said, God, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm not getting up till I understand. And man, I sat there. I don't know how long it was. It was a long time, but I cried, felt sorry for myself, went through rages of anger. And finally I just felt this presence of peace over me. And I knew exactly what it was. And I just began to make a transition in my life that I needed to have, which was God involved in my life and my family. And that every day has gotten better. It's
amazing.
I'm better than I am yesterday because of that.
That's amazing, brother. Real reflection, deep, you know, of being by yourself in that moment of that needing that answer, and it kind of just came onto you with your being in peace with yourself and just taking that moment to collect your thoughts and understanding you needed help. And It's amazing how it just continued on to that path. And that brings me to Bears of the Oath is, it was quite an experience being there. And so where did that come from? Did Bears of the Oath kind of come to fruition from this awakening, if you will, of what you had of wanting to bring something to everybody else, of making things better and trying to come together and develop that brotherhood and that sisterhood and that rejuvenation of life?
Yeah, this time, yes. But we've always been, the only thing different from Bears number 1 in 2020 to Bears this year, which was number 5, was there a year ago, I was still unsure if I ever wanted to do it again. And that was very selfish, because the Bears of the Oath is a big group of men and women that have made it what it is. I didn't do that. I just, like I said, I just encompassed myself with people, and they are the ones, it wasn't me. They are the ones that made it what it is. And I felt this, I was getting phone calls, people calling, texting, and it went on for probably a couple of years to where I'm unsure if I want to do this anymore. Just because, man, it's always brought so much scrutiny, and just because of the way we do things, being nonprofit, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that other training companies have said. And so I was just unsure if I wanted to go through that again or bring that. But I had this conviction, I had this nudge on me, and I realized that with all the people that were calling and texting, because it had been since I think it was November of 23. November of 23 was when we done the last one in Dalton, Georgia. And the crazy thing was, when we started Bears of the Oath, it was 5 months into COVID. And I've always been that guy, don't tell me no, I can't do it, because if you do, it's gonna. And the state of Georgia tried to put us on, lockdown with anything as far as training went. And man, everybody was just tired of it. And we decided, me and Humpy and a few others, Scott Sanders, Jonathan Jordan, we decided, hey man, let's do this. Let's just do it. Let's see. It was October. I'm sorry. And we started in August talking about it, of 2020, and said, man, let's do it. Let's just throw it out there, because I'd had this thought in my mind about how I wanted to create this platform. And we started talking about it and said, you know what, let's do it. And so we put it together really quick. I never would have thought in a million years it would have turned into what it did. But we had like 125 people sign up.
Wow.
That was big, right? That was pretty
big.
And it wasn't just Georgia. There was people from Florida, Alabama, and the Carolinas. I think a couple guys, Caleb Smith, a couple guys from Tennessee came for the very first one. And it was awesome. It was just, everybody was starving for that anyways, right? Because everybody had been on lockdown since March.
Yeah.
So we took and we done it, and it was a 3-day event. The first one was a 3-day event. And, when it was done and over, it was immediate. That when it ended on Saturday, on that Monday, everything was blowing up. Like, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? Right? And so we sat down and said, all right, let's do it again. And we done it 6 months later. Then we done it 6 months later again. And then we done it 6 months later again. So we done 4. I think we done 4 in like 22 months, 23 months, almost.
That's impressive.
It was a lot. And it grew from a 3-day event to a week-long event, all in those first four conferences, and with some really awesome people that were on the brink of just starting what they started as well too, and with their training companies and their platforms. But at that point, after the 4th one, I was in the mix of what I was going through with my career. It was very tight. It's a lot to plan. It's a lot to pull something like that off at the level that we get to do it at. And being a nonprofit, it takes a lot of money to do. So you have to depend on a lot of relationships, because we try to keep the cost of it down for the student,
Mm-hmm.
And so, and there's a lot of travel expenses. I think at this point we've had, after this past February, we've had like 21 different students from 21 different states. So there's a lot of travel expenses that is encouraged. So we've always tried to keep the cost of the classes down for the student, right? Because we knew that whether they're paying out of their pocket or whether their departments were paying for it, it was expensive.
Yeah.
And so, but after the fourth one, I was not in a good place. And all of that kind of fell in place. And that's when, I was in a time where I probably everybody looked like from the outside in, I should have been way up here. Man, I was at the bottom. I was getting close to crashing, and it had nothing to do with Bears of the Oath. It was my personal life. It was my personal decisions. It was my career decisions. It was the things that people are accusing me of doing that I did not do. And it was a lot. And it got to a point a few months later to where by Thanksgiving, I was on that stoop and I knew I needed something.
Yeah.
And the problem is this is where I learned about resiliency. And this is very important. If anybody listens to anything that I say, I'm an open book. I'll tell anybody anything they want to know. But I couldn't imagine ever sitting in the position that I was in. And I was so prideful and ashamed at the same time. Those are two of the worst things you can ever experience. Anybody should ever have to experience. And I didn't want nobody to know. I didn't want everybody, because so many people were calling me all the time. Hey man, how do I get through this? How do I get this? Shoot, I couldn't even get through my own problems. And I'm sitting here giving advice to people, trying to tell them how to get through theirs,
Yeah.
And Blake one day, he's told me, he said, hey man, he said, I'm here and whatever you need. And, I just got to a point and I said, okay, I've got to get myself together. And like I did. And when I started getting myself together, I realized that these words that we throw around, like humility and being humble and ashamed and prideful, those are true. Those aren't just words or definitions. Those are true real life feelings that people experience. And I've always been a big advocate for mental health. But I was suffering from it on my own. And you
were suffering in silence, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was. And I didn't have to. That's the thing. I didn't have to, but I was so prideful and ashamed of everything that had happened and everything that was going on. I didn't want people to know. So, but I can't imagine ever being in that position and not having the resiliency to bounce back like I did, because a lot of people don't.
I think a lot of people too, you make a good point though, is I think you're in that moment that you don't even know you're in that moment. You're just feeling down in the dumps. You don't even know that you're in that deep depression. Yeah. You just figure it's oh, I'm just down today and I'll get better tomorrow. And then tomorrow's the same effect and it keeps going on. And, before you know it, now it's been weeks. And that's usually when people start digging that hole. And they don't know they're in it because they just figure it's just one day where I'm not feeling right. And then, that's the first dirt of, in the shovel, and it keeps on going. And then it usually takes somebody to be real with you and go, hey, you are struggling and we're going to get you out of that hole. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. But the minute I gave myself and relinquished and surrendered to God, I experienced a sense of peace that I didn't even know that I was experiencing. And then it started, every day started getting a little better but I also, I had to do something in my life that I had to remove people from my life. Not that they were bad people, not that they'd done anything. I had to take and focus, because I've always been one that's surrounded by a lot of people, and even growing up as a kid, I was always surrounded by everybody always hung out at my house. I was, but within that, I was so infatuated. A lot of people, I think, confuse the fire service and how much they love the fire service. They confuse passion and infatuation. I was infatuated with it. I was obsessed with it. And what I was doing was pushing my family away. I hurt my family. And I had to take and face all of that. And I had to deal with all of that. And it took a while. And you fast forward to what we were talking about a few minutes ago with wondering if I was ever going to do it again. It was there. All of a sudden people started calling, hey, when we doing Bears again? When we doing Bears again? Because we were still doing 1-day classes for departments. We've never stopped doing classes, but the conference we hadn't done in a while. So, yeah. But, and
and part of me wanted to do it, but part of me was just absolutely terrified, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to put my family through the negativity again. I was in my own mind thinking that it was going to bring just negativity. But I had this conviction on me, and it just, I started, and I can relate something to you. You'll understand in a minute too. Was I sat down and talked to my wife. I told her, I said, look, I said, I've got a conviction from God to do this again. I said, but this is the way that we're going to do it, because this is the way that I feel like that the conviction he's putting on me. And that's the exact same way that we done it in February. And I vowed to never put anything with bearers of the oath in front of God again. And that's why we had the presence that we did this past February. So, but at the same time, everything that happened, for everybody that was there, everybody that spoke on Monday, I knew all their stories, because all of those guys are my intimate, close friends, right? I knew their stories, and I knew their stories would help others heal.
Yeah.
But they needed to hear that. But everything that happened from that Monday till we had to cancel on Thursday or Friday morning was answered through prayer. The whole time, I didn't make the first decision based off my selfishness. I learned so much discipline from those 6-7 months building up to Bears of the Oath number 5. And that was just because I stayed so disciplined in prayer and making sure that I didn't have any regrets, that I felt like that's how God wanted me to do it.
Yeah, I love it. And it was, I could tell it was a labor of love. I really could. I mean, what you guys did there, what you pulled off, and everybody was just feeling it.
Yeah. But the cool thing about it was, it's always been that way at Bears. The same, minus the atmosphere of, faith. We always started every class prior to Bears number 5 with prayer, Pledge of Allegiance. None of that was new. I can tell you that, like I said, the biggest thing that's made Bears of the Oath so successful is the people that are involved in it, right? And that is in how we treat students, and we don't treat them no different than we treat ourselves. And that's always been the goal. And you can see the success that comes from it. We've seen it from the first one. And so with that, and then we've always had that rule that we never tell nobody no, And
I remember that. I remember that when I reached out to you, because, I tell a lot of people that that's pretty much how you and I met. I was texting you, messaging you through social media, and I flat out said, I'm like, man, I really want to go. I just can't afford it. It's too expensive.
Right.
And that was your answer. Was, I'll tell you what, we don't tell anybody no.
Yeah.
Let me get back to you. And that meant something, because you really didn't know who I was.
No.
And that was pretty cool for you to say, yep, I'll let you know and I'll get back to you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what I did when we talked. I immediately went to prayer in it. And there's several people that I talked to. I don't make any decision for Bears without consulting, Corey and Webb, Daniel Nouns and Robbie Townsend, Jason Painter, people like that, but there's a lot of decision. There was a lot of people there that were like you, that were there, that they, when somebody, and we've done that before. It's not like this was the first time, but when, if somebody reaches out and says they really want to be there, and the reason they can't be there is because they can't financially afford it at that point in time, I'm not going to tell nobody no, and because they want to be there and we want them to be there. And because I feel like if you tell them no, you're missing an opportunity for a friendship and a blessing.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I think that's the biggest thing I got out of that was like 50 more friends.
Right.
It was, and that meant a lot to me, that you're like, yeah, I want you to be here. I don't want you to miss it. Don't worry about it. Just be here and enjoy the moment. Don't worry about anything.
Yeah. It was special, man. It was, I mean, still there hasn't been a week that goes by that somebody doesn't reach out and talk about their experience in February. So
now, where did you come up with the name for Bears of the Oath?
So the handshake, the handshake logo, if you're familiar, it's a handshake marker on the 1794 Baltimore Equity Insurance plaque. The marker that used to be on, it started in the volunteer fire service, right, years ago, in the late 1800s with, the handshake. That's how you knew if somebody had homeowners insurance. That's how you knew if you put their house out, if not.
I see, actually. Kind of like one of these.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Stand by 1 second.
It's gonna be show and tell time, guys.
Yeah, so
Oh, there it is. Okay.
this is the actual original. This is
I
not a
love that.
recast. This thing weighs like 25 pounds. This is an original. That
is cool.
Yeah, the date stamped on the back of it was actually formed and molded in 1795.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
I stumbled upon that. So, but that's where the handshake logo came from, right there.
Okay.
So, but it hung. I've always been a fire history buff, and several of those insurance markers like that I had lined up in my office around the ceiling line. And I was sitting in my office one night and I looked up at it and I was like, that's it right there. You know, you got history right there. A lot of people think it's a Masonic handshake. It's not. It's an actual, it's the handshake from the 1794 Baltimore Equity insurance placard. So, and that's where it came from. And right after that, I was sitting there writing things down and messing with the graphic arts program that I had. And I just started typing stuff, and Bears of the Oath, that's where it came from.
So the name just popped into your head?
Yeah.
From that logo?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. And then you have, you tell, I know I'll screw it up because I asked you before and you had to tell me, you have numbers that are attached to your logo, to your oath as well. What do those mean?
15 and 25.
Yes, sir.
It's a mindset. So I've always had that mindset that, you know, I remember, I don't know, 20 years ago, probably, when I was young in the fire service, it was search and rescue, which has always been priority, right? But it's always not priority. And so, but I remember coming up in the fire service that search and rescue wasn't the first thing that we always done, right? It never was. And I didn't learn the things that I started learning with the passive or the aggressive mindset till I started getting outside of my department, right? And you've talked about that. And you talk about it very regular. But when I started going outside of my department and training and meeting other people, right, I started realizing, and it was one of those things where I just created a mindset in my own mind that every call that we go to, right, whether it's a structure fire, possible fire alarm, it doesn't matter if it's possible, they're always there. Mm-hmm. They're there till we say they're not there. So if we create this mindset in our mind upon response, that if we're prepared mentally when we get on the rig for our worst day and we train for our worst day, right, when we get there, if there's 15 kids and 25 adults there, that's a pretty rough day, right? Our job is still to take and locate them and remove them from the structure. And so I created that mindset in my mind, 15 and 25. So every time I got in that, especially when I promoted to an officer, when I got in that right front seat, it didn't matter if we were going to a possible structure fire, confirmed structure fire, or fire alarm. We were going to a job. And and if you got there and it wasn't that, your day automatically got better, right? Second part of that was you had to be prepared to do the job.
Yeah. So,
but it's just a mindset that I created, that every time you get on the rig, every call that you run, they're there till you say they're not there.
I love it. That's great. I love how everything has a meaning and everything has like almost like a hidden message as well. You need to ask those questions of, the 1525, like you can wear the shirt, you can wear the hats, but it's really important to understand the meaning behind some of those things. And, and we all love swag. We're firefighters. We love hats, stickers, and t-shirts.
Right.
But what I like about yours a lot is it's thought provoking, and you really need to ask the questions of why is this? Why the handshake, and what's the name, and what are these numbers for? And that's that when I got your swag, I immediately saw it. I loved your message. I loved what you guys are promoting. I loved the trainings, but I didn't understand anything behind the message, behind the logo, until I reached out to you, and because I wanted to know more. Right. And I think anybody should and worth their weight in salt should actually be doing that. Like, you can wear the shirt, but ask why. Like, someone's going to come up to you and ask you that. It sounds like a silly kind of topic, but if you think about it, if you don't know the meaning behind the person or behind their design or their promo, what they're trying to get the message to relay, and some stranger walks up to you and goes, well, what's with the handshake? Or why is there 1525? And you're going to say, I don't know. I just thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
Like, like, you're just going to look like a schmuck on the street because you just bought something that just looked cool, but you don't even know the meaning behind it. Yeah. So I love the fact that there's thought into it, and it's actually really, again, thought provoking and meaningful. And anybody who's really into what you're saying and for the message, they have to actually understand it and reach out to you, or reach out to even somebody who's been to those trainings and go, what's that about? What is this bearers thing?
Right. Yeah. The handshake was when I looked up that night and looked at it, that was very symbolic of how we eat, because we were teaching a bunch of us, like I said, before bearers became bearers of the oath, there was 12, 13, 14 of us that were teaching together from the fire academy days when we were there with Don, to teaching classes outside and traveling around and teaching classes, and so when we started it, it was us,
Yeah.
And you can see it's grown to well over now. Just, I think there's 45, 50 instructors now, close to that. And people ask, how did the mass growth of instructors, where'd they come from? And the students, when these students say, hey, I want to come back, how do we get to do this with you guys? It's simple. You just come take the classes, right? And that's why we do the classes that we do at Bears, because those are the foundation. They're not easy, right? They're not easy, but they're to us, they're still the basics. And the basics of it are, if you invest the time to take and spend a week with us, learning our mindset and how and it's not just one way every time. We want to adapt, right? A lot of the stuff that our classes have adapted to over the years is what students have brought to it. And so, to keep it going, it'll fizzle out if you don't allow it to grow, and allow it to grow with the people that invested in you. And so,
yeah, it's just going to grow stagnant. You just have the same people over and over again, and it'd be like a podcast. You just have the same people over and over again preaching the same thing. You're eventually going to turn it off. It's not exciting anymore. Yeah. I love that you're growing with the times and understanding that you need new blood, you need new thoughts, you need new ways, and that's the fire service. We keep preaching it. That we need to keep moving. As fire science grows, we should be changing our tactics and mindset, and that's what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and so the handshake was very symbolic, because you've seen firsthand that everybody, whether if you meet them for the first time, we meet them for the first time, or it's the 10th time, or we've known them for years, we always shake each other's hands and hug each other's necks and tell each other we love each other when we see each other and when we leave, So yeah, the handshake was very symbolic of that. And we've, everybody that is a part of it and became a part of it, it's a blessing, man, because everybody fits right in, So
it really, I think everybody, from what my experiences, everybody was smiling, everybody was having a fantastic time and putting in work, and that was my first time going to Bears the Oath, number 5. I was blown away by the brotherhood and the sisterhood. I didn't feel like an outsider coming from New Hampshire, going down to Georgia, and I made this very clear. And I said to a lot of people that I didn't realize how faith-based this was, right? So I think some people might have been taken back. There's a big cross in the conference room, and then the cross was on the drill yard. And I think some people who aren't used to those things would be like, well, what am I stepping into?
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't feel like that. Like, nothing was pressed upon me. It wasn't like, you have to believe what we believe. You have to believe in Jesus. Like, I made it clear, like, I'm just a Jewish kid from New Hampshire.
Right.
And you guys didn't make me feel anything less than just a firefighter from up north. And we want you down here, and we want you to learn, and we want you to take in this brotherhood, and we want you to walk away with new friends. And you guys did exactly that. And I really loved the first day for the meeting, the conference that we had for the everyone to get together and actually have those lectures, those presentations. You did a fantastic job. Kevin Pfluger coming up and giving his testament, and Jared Robinson and Spira. And I mean, there was just so many good things. And Nate Sturm and Tom Hollick, the way they opened up, and that was the biggest thing that was a change for me, was it wasn't someone telling me about fire tactics. It was about life tactics. It was about them and their growth and how they had to overcome these struggles and come out on top.
Yeah.
And that was huge. I mean, I got choked up when I listened to Chief Sturm and Chief Hollick talk. Like that was my big moment. Like that was tough, but it was so inspiring, and it was exactly what we needed to hear.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for, like, again, if it wasn't for Bears, I'm not going to say I would have never met them guys eventually, but because of Bears, Kevin, he came to the second one. Him and several guys from Live Oak at the time, they came, and man, we just hit it off, and he became one of my best friends. And we all experienced those stories that they told. I was right there every day, living that out with them.
Yeah.
And when they started experiencing those things, I was at a point in my life where I was starting to overcome what I had experienced. And we started experiencing our faith and our growth in faith and what God was doing in our life and what he wanted to do and how he wanted to use us together. And in the beginning years ago, we thought it was for training, right? But it wasn't. It was to do exactly what we done. And that's why when we had the opportunity, when I started talking to him about this right here, it was like, I prayed every one of those guys that was, that spoke that day, that was an answer to a prayer. That
takes a lot of guts. I mean, it's easy to get up and, I mean, it's not incredibly easy, but it's pretty easy to get up and talk about, what you love, which is, talking about tactics, talking about electrical vehicle fires and talking about how to stretch a hose line and, how to throw ladders. But to get up and talk about your own personal experiences and how you were the lowest of the low and how, these moments in life were not your best.
Yeah.
And for letting all these strangers know the most inner secrets of yourself, is awe-inspiring. And I had a great experience with Jason Painter on the drill yard. Him and I were just talking, and we were having, like, all of a sudden just developed into this testament that both and I were talking about how we feel like as men and as husbands and fathers, we could be doing better. And man, it hit me. And as I was talking to him, I broke down. I just started crying. And I've never had that experience in a drill yard before, but I was talking about life, and I was talking about that I needed to be better as a father and as a man. And man, it touched me so much. And Jason was so fantastic to just let me open up, because he comes from the same background as I do. Like we know we failed at some point in our life, and we're now working to be better.
Yeah.
And it was cool just to be able to lean on him. I literally just met him that week, and here I am. I'm telling him my inner thoughts, and like literally all of a sudden bawling in front of him, and he accepted it. It didn't make me feel like less of a man, but it was, I walked away with such more love and respect for everybody that was there with us that week.
Yeah, that was, I struggled at first, when we got to Tuesday, because I've always been so hands-on teaching something. I mean, I enjoy that so much, but there's so much talent. And there's so many good guys that I told somebody, I think it was Chunk, I said, I think I worked my way out of a job. But what I got to experience with that is I got to not hide, but I got to go to places and sit and watch above, like on top of the tower, or sit on top of the hose bed prop and just watch. Like, I remember sitting on top of the tower, watching you on top of the engine that day. They took that picture of you, I was on top of the tower, and I watched that happen. I watched that joy, and I watched that smile you had, and I watched what you guys, like, I got to experience that blessing. I get cold chills now, but
I didn't even know you were watching.
Yeah, nobody. That's the thing. I took in to soak it all in, and I would take and just disappear for a little bit, just to go to soak it in and sit there and be thankful and pray and thank God for allowing this to happen. And that was one of the moments I just sat there and laughed, and just because I could hear the conversation, but I couldn't tell you what you guys were saying. But and watch, and to see the laughter, and just watching, looking down over and watching everybody laugh, man, it was such a rewarding feeling just to see everybody just, and the goal's always been, when they come there immediately, because you think about it, you go to classes, right? And I've always been this guy. I've always been the guy that's got to ask why. If I don't understand, I'm not going to sit there and say, yes, I understand.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
And I learned, and this is no insult to anybody, but I learned years ago going and taking outside classes. I'm not a I'm a hands-on person. I have to learn from you showing me hands-on, right? And I'm even at the time that in the years we taught at the fire academy, I could not, when you ask a group of students, is everybody good? Everybody understand? Most of them sit here and go like this, right? But somebody means this. And I recognize that. And I always wanted to make sure that I was always that guy that was in the group of students that would say, no, I don't understand. Could you show me, you know? And I learned really quick. That was the difference. I learned the difference between a good instructor or somebody who could just talk about it. Mm-hmm. The guys that would get down and say, absolutely, let me show you how to do this and secure that for somebody, versus the guys say, well, you'll get it. You'll pick it up. Those are the guys that, and I was like, man, I don't want to be like that. But I knew that there was always somebody in the crowd that said yes, but they didn't understand it. Right. So for me, it was always that from the moment people got there, I mean, you show up, a lot of guys show up. A lot of guys have the courage to come by themselves. They don't always have guys that come with, right?
Yeah.
So, but they're nervous. Nobody knows people. So they don't, I don't want it to be a day or 2 or 3 days into it for people start developing friendships and relationships, because you're hindering the work ethic that you guys have with one another. So our goal has always been never to separate the students from us when we eat, where we hang out, where we stay, and take and make sure that when they get there, we greet them, we introduce ourselves, we talk to them, we get to know them. We want to take all those nerves and fears away and want them to feel welcome as soon as possible that way, because as soon as you get rid of the fear and the fear of failure, now you're increasing the chance of success. Absolutely.
I love that you say that, because that's 100% accurate. And now again, for the whole week, for me, that was exactly it. Was it advanced stuff for the most part? No, like a lot of stuff, like, I guess because it's been around it for a while, like I knew it. It wasn't advanced skills, but it was skills I haven't done in quite some time or taught a different way. And I didn't feel like I was okay in that environment to fail. Like if I knew if I physically was kind of exerted, or if I just didn't understand what they were telling me, it was that great, comfortable environment where I can ask that question. Hey, I don't get it. Can you explain it again? Or can I run that again? I screwed that up. And it was that perfect environment of everybody there for the mission to make us better, to fail on the drill yard, because that's where you want to do it. And everybody, I even like I talked about earlier, is I love the fact, like when people are throwing the baby dolls out of the window, and RJ's like, I'm stopping this. And he laid it down, and he let everybody know how pissed off he was about this kind of what they were doing. And I love that he did that, because I was standing to the side going, man, this isn't really good. We shouldn't be doing that. And he stopped it. And I'm going to address this right now, because that's proper training.
That's right.
Right. We're not going to continue on to those bad skills. And then, like he said, it'll just continue to develop when you go back to your homes and you're going to do the same friggin' thing.
Right.
And he stopped it. And then he let everybody know, like, this ain't happening again. And everyone got on board and continued with the mission.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah. I was inside the building and man, we're cooking, right? And I kept seeing those guys. And look, I'm not saying there's not ever a place for that to ever happen, right? But in my mindset, and there'll be some that probably hear this and disagree with me, and I'm okay with that. But if we're going to take and throw a baby or a victim out the window and there's nobody there to at least break that fall, you better be going out the window behind them. And I seen that and I was furious, and that's when I got him to come up on top of the mezzanine. I said, stop it now, because I didn't want to, I knew I was already elevated about it, and I didn't want to take him. And so, but yeah, and he done. But you think about that too, from a internet or Facebook, right? If somebody would have seen that video, that can destroy a training company. That can just, in the fire service, there's one thing the fire service is really good at.
Tearing us down.
It's tearing each other down and destroying each other, right? And I'm not saying there's not a place for that, but for my mindset is, if that's going to happen, you better be going out right behind them.
I agree. 100%. Because that you don't know if that person's still viable. I mean, God, imagine being a parent,
right?
And you see your child being thrown out the window and nobody there to catch it and just falls on the ground. That's even if that person wasn't viable, we don't know that. And you're just showing you don't care at that moment for somebody to capture that child.
Right.
And that's like proper training, is be ready to retrieve that person, that victim. We're not just chucking them out of a window. Get in the right mindset, so when it happens, you're ready and prepared. Like you said, the internet is really good at tearing people down. Like if you're not dressed appropriately, you don't have your waist strap, cinched up, or for that for that class when I posted a video of Brian Rondeau and I doing that evolution of getting the ladder up on the building, getting to the second floor, do the VEIS. It was great, man. We rocked it. We nailed it. Posted a video of it. Like somebody posted, well, he's not footing the ladder. There's nobody footing the ladder. Really?
Yeah.
Is that you missed all the other good stuff, but you wanted to talk about nobody was footing the ladder. And it's just the typical internet of it, is that they missed the big picture that was right in front of them,
Right.
The forest through the trees kind of thing. So but the training that I received there was top notch. You had so many amazing people that were just so good at teaching these skills and able to break them down to the purest elements and then build it back up. And the hands-on evolutions, like the combined ops drills, those were amazing. I absolutely loved that. The fact that you had crews split up. One's going to be forcible entry. They got a hose team coming in right after. You've got somebody venting the roof. Like, it was all just together, a beautiful symphony. And the thing was too, is that we're really good. People are really good about hiding behind each other, especially when you got big groups and you're not really comfortable with everybody. You're out of your element. Some people are scared to actually step forward and do things, so they'll hide behind other people in the group. What I noticed is nobody really hid. Everybody, all the students, they worked. The people wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And they worked hard and they worked as a team. And so everybody was teamed up because, like you said, there was some people that were there without a whole department with them.
Right.
It was myself and Brian. So we didn't pretty much know any of the students.
Right.
And we got teamed up with amazing people, Joe Johnson for one of them. And it was fantastic. But and I was saying to Joe, it's amazing how we could team up in this group and work like we had been working for 5 years with each other. Like that evolution, we killed it. And we worked so well as a whole group, even though we've only been working for like 3 hours with each other for that day. Yeah. That just shows how the instructors can get everybody together. It shows how the students are there for the mission and to get solid training in. The egos are pushed out the door, and we're just there to have fun and get those skills in.
What the cool thing about is what a lot of people don't realize is going on under that instructor tent over there, that instructor shed, is I'm constantly going around asking instructors, who's the strong points? There was a lot of, you talk about the guys that were throwing the babies out the window. They were the two that were very young. That's the first time they had ever experienced anything like that. Right. But that was the place for that to happen.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and making sure not only what they heard RJ say, but at the end of the evening that they understood why. Right. But there's a height and a sense of elevation that you've got to bring with that immediately to get them to take and stop, because everybody won. People don't realize I've been to a lot of training classes over the years, a lot. I've traveled to a lot of places, and you start at 8 and you're done at 5. And they're great classes, don't get me wrong. But if you show up there with no experience and then you try to have teaching stations and then you try to run live fire evolutions, it doesn't happen in 8 hours, not with that many people. You're talking 40, 50 students at a time, and to make sure they all equally get everything that they want as many times as they want it. So we're constantly under that teaching shed, evaluating, watching who needs to be where, who do we need to change up to put here. And by the second day, it's flowing, man. It works. People don't realize you guys are getting there 6:30 in the morning, and we're not leaving to 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, those were long days.
They were
great days. They were very long days.
But to get to make sure, that's always been the biggest thing. One, with that rule that you never tell nobody no, you don't have 25, 30 student rosters. You have 40, 45, 50 student rosters in classes. And so to make sure that they get that, to make sure that they get, each one of them get the same thing that they deserve, that we give them everything that they want. Those days have to be longer. And that's always been the goal, is to make sure that everybody gets all that they want and everybody gets a fair shot at taking and succeeding. And that's why, man, we've had, of all of the classes that we've done, we've had, over the years, we've had over 4,000 students, and we've never had anybody fail or leave or not come back.
Yeah, I think everybody's toughed out, except obviously you had the sickness come over everybody on the last day, which is unfortunate. But I like what you're going to do. You're telling me for the next one that you guys got going on, which will be in February.
Yes, 6.
February 6th. What I like is you're going to institute more of a family day.
Yeah.
And I love that, because I've talked with Kevin about this before, and Tom is, man, I love the training, but man, I want to just sit and talk with you guys.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out, and everything's so busy, and all the conferences I've been to now, like I never get that time to actually sit down, and I don't get to see you guys for like, usually it's like a year. And then I meet you guys and it's just go, 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 because you guys got so much stuff you got to do. And I maybe get like 10 minutes of talking with you guys, and you guys got to go. And by the time everything's said and done, it's time for me to get on a plane and go.
Yeah.
And I miss that opportunity with you guys. And I love that you're going to slow it down and let that opportunity happen for people to actually get to know each other on a more personal level.
Yeah. So we've talked about that for a while. And like having to cancel, we always end the week-long conference with the RIT class, which is that many students. It's close. It can be a 24-hour day. It's gone. It's multiple times. It's been 18, 20 hours. Right. And so, I look at it now, looking back, I feel like it was just the devil after us. He not only did he attack some of the students, but he got a lot of instructors. I think there was about 20 of us that ended up getting sick, whether it was the flu, whether it's stomach bug, whether it's bronchitis. And several of us got a touch of it. But, what it allowed us to do is to take and reschedule this class, because I know a lot of people came from a long ways away, but the ones that can't make it back, they've got a free pass to any class that they ever want to come back to.
I love that.
But we're going to take the RIT class and make 2 days out of it now, because we just don't want people to come back and be there for a day and have to turn around and either get back in a car or get on after training for 18, 20 hours, So we're going to make it a 2-day class this time for the reschedule of RIT or Die. We're going to take in, have teaching stations one day, and then just the live fire RIT evolutions on the second day. And then on that Saturday, it'll be a family day for everybody.
That's fantastic. I love that, man. That's great.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that more than I am anything.
I am too. I'm very excited about that. I can't wait. I love doing that stuff, and I love being able to do this with all of you guys. So you do have the Bears coming up in February, and the RIT or Die, for anybody who missed it, is in December, correct?
It is December 4th and 5th, and then we'll have a family day on December 6th.
Fantastic. I love it. Now, you before I miss out on it, you also work for AEST, correct?
For AEST, great company, very good to me. It was a hard decision to leave. I work for FCL-X now. Me and Webb both work for. So AEST has always been a big sponsor and a big supporter of Bears of the Oath, and still will remain that.
Nice.
Have always been very good to me as a friend and an employee. So, but me and Webb got involved with a company last year, FCL-X, which is who we work for now. It's a lithium battery suppressant agent. And we got involved with them and doing some testing last year. And I would have never thought at that point that our careers would both transition to that, but it has, and it's been awesome. It's been a blessing. We've got to travel just in the last 3 months, 10, 11, 12, I don't know, a lot, to a bunch of different states, burning these vehicles and actually being successful every time and putting them out, extinguishing these EV fires with less than 500 gallons of water.
Wow.
So, and that is, again, the fire service is, people say it can't be done. I'm here to tell you it can be done. And there's a guy that asked us in Boston when we were there a few weeks ago, and I had made the comment to a guy the week before, I forgot where we were there, but he said, why don't you just let it burn? I said, well, to me, it's no different than a structure fire. Our mission statements say 2 important things, but what they don't say is protect property, save lives. They say save lives, protect property, right? And so I don't look at an EV fire no different than I look at a structure fire. And the science in it, as well as the science in firefighting, is similar, very similar, right? And we've had the opportunity to go to work for a company that developed a product that attacks these lithium batteries with the chemistry. And that's the only way that you can take and suppress it. So, but I don't look at that any different as you have an EV fire in somebody's garage. Do you just let their house burn?
Yeah.
No, I can't accept that.
Now, this liquid agent, is it only like in a fire extinguisher, or is it pumped through the actual apparatus?
So it's It's you can get it already pre-mixed in a liquid form and for fire extinguishers, or you can batch mix it in a powder form in the tanks. So
Okay.
you get on scene responding to a vehicle fire. We're doing a lot of Class A testing right now. We actually put out a backdraft simulator the other night with about 100 gallons of water. The rapid cooling effect of it, I really believe on the Class A side, we're fixing to uncover and show that we're going to be able to increase survivability by 50% with the first line application with the first line. We're already doing testing and building out scenarios like the modern versus legacy scenario. We've replicated that already and proven how effective it is. But it is you can get it in a pre-mixed liquid form for extinguishers, and you can get it in powder batch mix form for your water tanks on your trucks.
Now, I know that because the big thing before is obviously the foam was having some chemicals in there, cancer-causing chemicals. With this product, does it have any of that? What is made into that product that makes it different than the regular foam that other people are using?
So it's not a foam. It's 97% water. It's majority is water. It's a proprietary product that the company we work for has developed. It has no forever chemicals in it. It's pH neutral. And all of that's proven and tested through NC State and Safe Labs. We have all the white papers and third-party testing to prove that. As a matter of fact, every time we do a demonstration when we're checking the mix, when we mix it in the tanks, when we check the water, when we bleed the nozzles off, I reach over and fill my hand up and drink some of it. So it's 100% environmentally safe and free with no forever chemicals.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is. It's very impressive.
And so how long has this been out for?
About a year. So the company actually started on the municipal side. The company actually that we work for started as a lithium battery recycling company. They developed this product when they were taking batteries apart underwater to take and counteract that. When they didn't realize what they had when they developed it. One of the guys that works with us is Chief Mike Carver. He's retired fire chief, been in the fire service for 40 years. He was working for him in their warehouse. He said, well, you guys might be onto something. And through talks, we got hooked, me and Webb got hooked up with them and started testing their products. Privately, nobody knew what we were doing. We started burning cars because nobody's burning EV cars, right? Not intentionally. And when we realized the capabilities of what it was doing, we said, yeah, there is something here. And so we spent about a year testing and to prove, because the last thing you wanted to do was to take and go public with it, right? And it'd be snake oil or venom water or anything, so we realized it and we changed our careers for it.
Wow. So you firmly believe in it. I mean, like you just 100%. Said, you changed your careers for this company and this product. And it's interesting. It kind of comes on the back right now of our conversation of that whole thing with the blankets that UL posted that there's actually major issues and flaws with these blankets. And so now you have this extinguishing agent instead.
So the deal with blankets, I think there's a couple things with blankets and there's a lot of skeptics with that too, right? Are blankets effective? Yeah, they're effective. But the training that comes with the blankets from the sales companies is the issue. I can tell you firsthand, you can sell these blankets to anybody and they'll go out and use them. Well, there's several types of blankets, right? There's fiberglass, there's Kevlar, there's ones that have higher burn through temperatures. But the problem with blankets are once they're deployed, you have to continue cooling and putting water on them. And most of these results have come from these back flashes and these gas flashes when you uncover them is because of the lack of continuing to take and cool, right? Because you're trapping all of these gases underneath. So I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say that there's no place for them or the myth is proved. You got to remember how UL tests things is how UL tests things, right? I think I'm not saying it's the application every time, but I'm also saying it's not that they can't be effective. It's just how the training, I think it's with everything, any new product that comes out, especially when you're dealing with, a lithium EV response, the fire service has been told for the last 10, 15 years, you can't put them out. Don't just continue to drown them. Don't put them out. Don't expose yourself. Well, we're here to tell you you can put them out, and we're proving it. We burned our 14th car in front of the public this past Monday night, and we, like I said, we've extinguished every vehicle. And what we do, we go a little further. We absolutely extinguish them. Then we stand the cars up on their sides, take the batteries out of the vehicle, show where we started the fire, show where we stopped it, and then we have to do something with the battery. So to take and get them ready to go to the recycler, we have to continue burning them off, put them back into runaway to burn the energy off that's left where we stopped the fire. So, and nobody to my knowledge has done it that way. And it's, of course it's got skeptics as well, but I can tell you, you can put them out.
I love it. It's amazing. Like we were talking about earlier, you never thought you'd be talking about EV vehicles and fires and thermal runaways like you did right now. Listen to you, man.
No, it was
big different world.
No, it's pretty awesome though, because what we've learned with this product is not just on the lithium battery side of it, but what it actually does in the Class A side. The people that we work for, they strongly believe and trust in everything that myself and Webb is what we're doing and how we're doing it. And they're building us a training center at our facility to where we can take and bring people there and actually do these tests and show them as well. But the Class A side of it, the cooling effect of FCL-X in water is amazing. It immediately takes it when you max a camera out at 1200 degrees, and when you apply the FCL-X to any fire, and it goes from 1200 degrees to 140 degrees upon application, that can change. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, I'm more excited about what it can do in a Class A setting versus the EV side, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so that was the biggest question it was popping in my head is the Class A side for brush fires and things like that is, having the trucks geared up, ready to go to put out those type of fires.
Yeah.
And not having to worry about man, it's always a problem, right? You flow foam and all of a sudden it gets through and now it's in your pump and you got to flush out your whole pump.
Yeah.
Because now it's, it's leaked by and it's contaminating that water or that hose line and now you've got foam in it. And there's sounds like it wouldn't be an issue if that was to leak by and you had that within your system, correct?
No, it's actually good for your tanks and your pumps. It takes and cleans everything that it touches. It's crazy what it does. It's funny when we'll leave demos, we'll have people call us back and say, man, our valves on our trucks are working better than they ever have. That's because it eats the corrosion and the oxidation away from what's in the valves. And to test that theory, we've taken and put it 3 times the mixed solution and submerged since January. So going on 6 months now. Stainless steel, brass, Vitalic, aluminum, anything that you'll find in a pump housing. We have submerged underwater to prove, and rubber seals as well to prove that it doesn't degrade it.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
FCL-X product. I love it. So, and you guys obviously are available for demos. I don't know if this is how you can answer the question, but what is the price range for that? And what is the shelf life for this?
There's no shelf life. We have to put 10 years on it because of NFPA. As long as it's never opened, there's no shelf life. If you add the powder base, if you open it up and it's a very humid area or it gets moisture in it, it's going to take and it's not that it's going to go bad. It's just going to change the saturation of it. And then it's just going to it turns in from a powder to a clump to try to dump it in your tank. So you wouldn't want to open it until you're ready to use it.
Sure.
But the demos are expensive because Kia has we've developed a relationship with Kia. So they provide a lot of the vehicles that we burn, their test vehicles. But a lot of the demos that we do, we've had to buy vehicles to do them. And again, that comes strictly from the investors in the company that we work for, allowing us to go out and do these demos. We've done 13 since October of last year. Mm-hmm. So it's expensive to do. But we've set up a network of distributors as well. So we'll figure out a way to make it happen. There's some expense with it because you have to buy the vehicle, and then travel expenses, of course, to go do it. And then you got to pay to have the battery recycled as well. So
gotcha.
But they also realize that we have to do these demos and to show the fire service on the municipal side and the industrial side that there is a place.
And that's what I love about the fire service for a lot of things. And one, we really do pretty well for doing our homework.
Right.
When we ever want a new product, we just don't put our hand, we just don't say word of mouth, okay, we're going to buy it because, Shane says it's great. Like, we still want to see it, and we still want to put our hands on it and see it actually work in an actual environment. And that's what I do love about the fire service community, is that we want to see the thing work. We want to put our hands on something. We want to have tangible evidence that this is actually a really good product before we spend thousands of dollars of something, whether it's a hose, whether it's a nozzle, extrication tools, extinguishing agents. Everybody wants the proof. They want to hold that in their hand and actually see it. So that's cool that you guys are getting out there and doing those demos.
Yeah, what's crazy is we're doing it with a 1-inch booster line and 30-gallon minute nozzle.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's very impressive. And like I said, we've never used more than, I think, 440 gallons of water.
Wow, man. Wow. And then, hey, with that hen nozzle, you even get more of an application.
We do. We use a hen. We use the 45-gallon minute hen on a lot of them as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I bet that covers a large area to extinguish that, especially with that agent.
It does. It works very well. So
that's amazing.
It is.
Now, the product itself, is there a price range for the product?
Yeah. So the extinguishers, I think the extinguishers, I don't know the distributor pricing. I don't know. The distributors they have a cost. And then I think the list price on the extinguishers is $6.99, and the bulk mixing is so how we package the bulk is each jug. So a case comes with 2.5 gallon jugs.
Okay.
And a 2.5 gallon jug is good for 250 gallons of water. And the reason we do it that way is because we know some skid units, pump trucks or brush trucks, they're 250 gallons, right? Then you get into your pumpers, they're 500, 750, 1,000. So we package them that way and have them pre-saturated that way and mixed. That way, when you dump 250 gallons in a 250 gallon or 2.5 gallons in a 250 gallon tank, you're already pre-mixed. Same with a 500 gallon tank, you would dump 2 in it. 750, you would dump 3 in it.
And so once it's dumped in there, again, you don't have to flush it out. It can stay there.
No, we tell people to leave it in there.
And so if they say they dump it in there and they leave it, they don't get a brush fire or an EV fire for another, 4 weeks. They can just go ahead and put that in.
Yeah, it doesn't fall out. Once it's mixed and aggregated, it doesn't fall out. It stays.
Wow. Man, that's awesome.
Again, it's 97% water. So once you mix it, it's 97% water. The product doesn't fall out either. So
that is so cool. I love it. And the website, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media.
Right.
You have a great website, I assume, with a lot of that information that we talked about.
Yeah, it's fullcirclelithium.com. And then, of course, we have a Facebook page as well. It's loaded up, and YouTube channel and a LinkedIn. All of our demos are posted on there. Every time we do one, they're posted. The one we done Monday night in West Virginia was pretty awesome. We burned a vehicle, and then they took and loaded up their backdraft simulator, which they've never put it out. And we put it out, and they still had about 70% of the fuel load in it.
Wow. So that is awesome.
Yeah. It was about 100 gallons of water.
That is so impressive. I love hearing new products. I love, especially again, when people like you back them and stand behind them. Again, we brought up the hen nozzles. It's the same thing. Like when you have people like Ray McCormack and Dennis Laguerre that firmly believe in that product, that speaks volumes. It's not just about making money. It's about because you're putting your name on that. You're stamping that with your last name. And if it's a crap product, and then your reputation's at stake for it.
That's right.
And the fact that somebody who has a strong morals, is backing a good product like that to make things easier for us and safer for the environment and for us as firefighters, it's awesome.
It is. It's a really neat project to be a part of right now. It's like I said, it's still in its infant stages. I mean, we're still in the first year of it, but it's been very successful for us. And every time we do a demo, we gain new customers immediately.
That's great. I love it, dude. So what else do you got going on? So do you have more demos going on? You're going to be traveling to other places. I imagine with this new business venture, you were saying earlier, you've been super busy.
Yeah, we've been pretty busy since April 1st. We've been, I think we've done 9 or 10 demos, different states every time. So Florida, Boston, Massachusetts, West Virginia, Texas, all over the place, man. It's been pretty cool. We're working on one in Hawaii right now.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're pretty busy. We, we got a couple weeks downtime right now. Everybody's got working around vacations, and then, but which gives us time to be at home and go back and forth, because we're doing a lot of new testing too with our product, with data facilities and BESS units, battery energy storage systems, these big Connex boxes full of these batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So on the industrial side, it's we're doing a lot of testing right now with that stuff too. So it's we're pretty busy. We got a lot of research and data that we're composing daily. So it's and it's pretty neat to be a part of something like this. I never thought I'd get to be a part of something. So it's pretty neat.
I'm happy for you. That's great. I love it. Yeah, Shane Bentley, Bears of the Oath, now an EV specialist.
Right.
I love it. So if anybody's ever curious, definitely, like we just talked about, the product is FCL-X. Check them out. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Shane Bentley. He's got a whole bunch of knowledge, a whole bunch of material on it. So make sure you are checking that out and asking him those important questions. So that way you can bring it back to your departments and maybe schedule a demo and maybe make the game of EV vehicle fires a little bit easier for us, so we can win that game without having to use thousands of gallons of water.
Yeah. And
a lot of manpower as well.
That's right.
So I love it, dude. And Bears of the Oath, I can't wait to get back there. Let's see if I can actually do a screen share here. Trying something new. There it is. Can you see that?
Yes.
Awesome. So this is Bears of the Oath. If anyone is ever curious, this is their website. It's got great photos on there. It's got a lot of information. So when he brings that back up again, this is the website you guys want to go to, bearsoftheoath.org. They list their instructors. They have amazing instructors like Corey Thompson, dude. He was awesome. I loved everybody. Everybody was fantastic. Humphreys, the painters, everybody you had there, man, was just so dialed in and so amazing, and so just wanted to be there for everybody. I had a great talk, and actually, honestly, Don Sapp was fantastic. I really enjoyed talking with him and just seeing him work on the fire grounds, and you can never go wrong with Sandy as well.
That's right.
So if anybody's ever interested, make sure you do reach out to Shane, and he'll help you, guide you in that direction as well. If you're looking into attending a training for Bears of the Oath, just look out on social media for future announcements of classes, and then you'll be able to figure out what's going on with that. And this picture right here, this was special to our left here. That was amazing. What an awakening. What a weekend of brotherhood, sisterhood, and bonding for everybody. And I really appreciate you for bringing it to all of us.
Man, one of the most special moments from that day was a 19-year-old kid that walked in there that morning. And I shouldn't call him a kid, a young man that walked in there that morning. And he told me, he said, I really didn't want to come. He said, I'm going through a lot in my life. And he said, I just really didn't want to be there. And he said, I walked in that Monday morning and seen that cross. And he said, I knew exactly I was supposed to be there. And to hear him stand up in front of everybody and give his testimony. And 6 months ago, he was in a place where he thought about suicide. Yeah. Where he's at today, and there were so many of those stories all week long, man. The training and fellowship was awesome, but to see and to hear people and to watch them heal through the week, man, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was when Elijah gave his speech, his testimony on the drill yard. That was incredible. Yeah. And I think he touched a lot of people that day. And also, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have the day to say the prayer for the opening of the practical day. That was something I'll never forget. It was such an honor for you to invite me to do that. I had never done that before, and I have to admit I was pretty nervous. But it took me. For days I was thinking about what I was going to say, and I was writing things down. And honestly, I feel bad. I forgot the gentleman's name that I had stand with me, but he helped me make it easier. He calmed my nerves because he was kind of nervous for both of us. And that's what was really amazing is when he came up to me, he thought I was an instructor, and he says, "Sir, I'm really nervous." I'm like, "What are you nervous about?" And he's like, "I'm nervous about everything. I'm nervous I'm going to screw up." I said, "Don't worry. We're going to screw up together. Trust me, it's going to happen." And when that was the day I got to say the prayer for the drill yard. And that, he just really drove it home for me that we're all here to make each other better, to lift each other up. And that's why I wanted him there to understand, to stand with me, to say that prayer, that we're all in this together and we're going to come out on the other side better people.
Where's Caleb? I just met Caleb. Where's Caleb? Young kid. Caleb, come with me. The man, he told me he's nervous.
Me too.
He's super nervous. I said, so am I. I'm scared. We're all scared. He's nervous that he's going to screw up in front of people. I said, I tell you what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it a lot. But that's why I'm here, to make mistakes. So I learned not to make those mistakes again. We got to shut off our brains, open up our hearts and our minds, let everything just happen naturally, organically. That's what we're here for. Brotherhood, the sisterhood. I'm so honored, privileged to be here amongst all of you. It's like an awakening, right? So I had to write down some stuff last night because I know I forget it. I'm so excited and nervous. So, as Brother Shane stated, no perfect people allowed. I'm not perfect. I've sinned. I'm not a church-going man. My faith is different from yours, but I still believe in God. I believe in a higher power. I pray to God every day. I pray to God for my family. I pray to God on my job. I pray to God that my brothers and sisters are safe. I pray to God that all of you are safe. So I might not go to temple, but I do pray. I do believe in God. So I want to pray for us today. I'd like to pray, Lord God, please watch over us this week. Lord, be our strength when ours is drained. Lord, be our eyes when we're searching through the darkness. Lord, please keep us safe. Please, Lord, protect us as we push our minds and our bodies through these training exercises. I ask you, Lord, to keep our hearts and minds open, to be the hand to lift up each other. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. And as the Torah says, we should behave as God would want us to behave. That we, created in God's image, should strive to be like God. I'll leave it with this. As we talked about Brother Mueller, this is the best job in the world. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. I pray for all of you to have fun. I pray for all of you to be here and enjoy each other's companies. Be safe, lift each other up. Be the brotherhood that I know that we all are practicing today. I love you all. Let's have fun this week. Passion is contagious. Let's infect all of us with it. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Shane.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Man, I was sitting in this kitchen the day that I called you. I was cooking breakfast for my daughter, and I had a list of stuff and we were close. We were like this. We were a month out maybe, and I still had a list of a few things that I hadn't had an answer from God yet from. And I was sitting over there cooking at that stove, and I just closed my eyes and prayed, asked God. I said, God, I need you to put somebody on my heart to take and say the opening prayer for this day. And man, it was immediately, I looked at my wife, and I said, hey, can we finish this? And I sent you a message, and I told you. And I remember telling somebody before that, and they said, well, you know, he's Jewish, right? I said, yeah, I know he's Jewish. I said, they said, well, I said, well, what? You know, I said, let me tell you something. I said, I've learned so much discipline through prayer and faith for this conference that I'm not going to ignore anything God tells me to do. And you've done a phenomenal job. And such a testament, you know, there's a lot of people that watch what we're doing in the background. And there's a lot of people that have believed in me and believed in us and Bears for so many years. And I'm always proud to call and talk to them and tell them about how things went. And I remember the following week when I was talking to Chief Starnes, because he's very dear and close to me, and he's been there with me through thick and thin and remained my friend. And
he's a great man.
One of my biggest supporters and as a friend, you know. And we was talking, and he goes, and I said, Chief, I said, it's just amazing what God did. And he said, you got a man that was Jewish and prayed in front of everybody at the same time. I said, that's right. And I said, that's because God answered my prayer standing in my kitchen. So I'm very thankful for God for that. And I'm very thankful for you to do that. And you've done a wonderful job, and I appreciate you for that. I'll never forget it.
I'll never forget it either, brother. I really do appreciate that. It was a special time in my life to do that. That was a first for me. And it was great to be able to, it was no judgment. And that's what I loved about it. Like, even people had the same thing. Like, wait, you're Jewish. Like, you're going to go down south and, and say a prayer. Like, and I said, yeah, they don't care. Like, and like I said, like, we all believe in God.
Right.
Some of my views might be different, but the person up there, he believes in me, and just like he believes in you.
That's right.
Right. So it's all one message, and it meant everything to me. And I was when I said to my wife, I'm like, man, he just asked me to say a prayer, and like, I was so touched by that, and just show again, like, God has a purpose. There's a plan for us all. And man, we all became such good friends, brothers. Like, when we use the term brothers, it's not a loose term. Like, there's a brotherhood that is built with that, and certain people are meant to be in your lives. You're meant to be in my life, and I appreciate everything that you do. I'm so glad we got to do this, and I can't wait to continue to grow on this adventure with you and see where everything takes us.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. It really does. That's one of the things. There's two words that's always really, really bothered me about the fire service, and that's the misuse of brotherhood and leadership. And I've always tried to make sure that when somebody came to, it doesn't matter if it's a conference or just a class or one day class, because like I said, we do a lot of classes that people never know about or see for departments, right? And but as always, that they get to, I pray all the time that people get to experience the same things that I get to experience, and I've gotten to experience in the fire service of the meaning of true brotherhood. And not everybody gets that, and there's good men and women I know that's left the fire service because of the act of negligence of brotherhood, So
yes, sir.
I can't tell you how fortunate I am to take and be in the position I am to have gotten to do the things, through the good and through the bad, because I know I had to go through the bad to get to where I'm at today.
Amen. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And that's exactly what we said earlier. If it wasn't for the bad experiences, I wouldn't be right here. I wouldn't be talking to you, to be honest with you. Like, I'm thankful actually for some of those bad experiences in my life, because it wouldn't bring me to this point, and then I wouldn't be able to help others, because that's what we're doing. We're helping others, and I appreciate everything you do.
Man, there's
Shane
so
Bentley,
much joy in that. There's so much joy in doing for others and helping others and watching them succeed and being there with them when they struggle, and you see them come out on top. That's the most gratitude and graceful feeling that there ever has been for me.
Yep. Helping others in our job is fantastic. Not everyone gets to do it, but when you actually get to help your fellow brothers and sisters to move on, to be better, to watch them grow, and with their darkest times, and then see their biggest successes, like, that's just a calling that not a lot of people are able to do.
I'm going to tell you, it's not hard. People ask all the time, they say, what's the secret or what's the trick? I said, well, there's not a secret and there's not a trick. I said, the truth is if you ever want somebody to work as hard for you as you want them to work, whether this is leadership, this is how I look at leadership, whether you think it's from the front or the back or not, if you're responsible for the well-being of someone's success, right? You have to lay down accountability and expectations out of them. And you have to have that face-to-face, voice-to-voice, and you have to develop a relationship. But you got to remember something as a leader, as an officer, as a backseat guy. Your job in the fire service is also to protect the people and work and care for the people you work for. You're not all going to be the same, right? And that's what's the beauty of it. Not everybody's like me. Not everybody's like you. But you got to realize something as an officer. When you're put in that position to make decisions for others and their growth as a firefighter, you're not only responsible for them or the rest of your crew, you're responsible for their families as well.
Yes, sir.
They're never going to work as hard for you as you want them to work if they don't know you care and you love them.
Amen. 100%. Couldn't say any better there, sir. That was fantastic. And that's how it's supposed to be. Helping each other, being there for each other. And like you said, be watching out for them, but also make sure they're there for their families.
Yeah.
Because that's really what matters the most is, we have the fire service, but once it's gone, you have your family. Your family needs to be there. Once the fire service kind of chews you up and spits you out, who's left behind you is your family. And if you mistreat them, they're not going to be there either. It's going to be a really lonely, lonely world.
Yeah, it was. If things would have kept going the way they were for me, I'd probably be divorced. I would probably, my identity was the fire service for so many years, and now it's not. And I would have been a lonely person. And guess what? You just said it. Not me and Nate Sturm had this conversation many years ago. I said, you know what, man? I said, when our day's done, I said, there's two places that don't close, and that's the fire department and the Waffle House. I said, so, and I said, your legacy is what it is. I said, but there's only so many people that are going to remember you. I said, your family's always been sitting at home waiting for you. They're taking the impact of what you accomplished and what you didn't accomplish and how you received everything every day that you was at work. I said, so at the end of the day, people say, well, it's not just a job. It's not. But at the same time, when your career's over, man, just do the best that you could do to have a good job and a good career, and then make sure you take care of your family. That's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we swore the oath to our family.
Yep.
We took that bond. We made that promise.
That's right.
We have to uphold that oath to our family to be there for them. So 100%, my man. I love you, dude. Thank you so much for being on the C.A.N Report. This has been fantastic. I'm so happy. We got to do it again because there's so much more that we need to talk about. like this time is not enough. So we got to do it again. So I want to get you back on. Shane Bentley, he is the sales director for FCL-X. Please look them up. They've got a great product. I loved the fact that we got to talk about that because that's a game changer for sure. And
I appreciate you giving us the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And I will definitely let people know about it up here. I hope people up in New Hampshire are going to be listening to this. If you're not already, please click like, subscribe. There's a lot of good information in this podcast. So make sure you are listening, get your pens and papers out. This product is, again, it's not just a gimmick. It's something that's new and changing the game of EV fires and Class A fires. So make sure you are paying attention. Make sure you're looking at that product. Ask for demos. It'll be worth your time. And again, Bears of the Oath is going to be coming out in February. So make sure you're paying attention, making sure you're looking at social media to see when that comes out. I'm telling you 100%, it's a fantastic training. You're getting all the stuff you want in there. Live fire, you're getting forcible entry, you're getting good hose work. I loved I talk about the hand nozzles a lot. The fact that we had hand nozzles there, we got to flow with them, we got to put out fires with them, we got to try different hose loads. You have a plethora of amazing instructors, but at the end of it all, you walk away with 50 to 60 new brothers and sisters who are going to love you and care about the service just like you do. Shane Bentley, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you all for tuning into the C.A.N Report. And again, I love to leave it with talking about Next Rung. Blake Stennett, he was at Bears of the Oath. He gave his testament and gave a great presentation of who he is, what he does, and how he came to develop Next Rung. So make sure you are checking in with Next Rung if you do need help. He will steer you where you need to go. If you don't know how to get a hold of him, if you don't know anything about them, you can follow my page. You can follow Bears of the Oath. They have a link on their page for Next Rung. So make sure you are paying attention to that. We don't need anybody to lead this world by suicide. We need you in it. You are making a difference. If you don't think you are, just turn to the brother and sister to the left or the right, or make sure you're looking at your family when you're thinking about those major decisions. We love you all. Be safe. Take care. Mazel tov.